Okay.
Yeah, maybe I've mentioned Shemar Stewart to you.
Oh, you have. Yeah. You have.
6'5", 280.
Yep.
With 34-inch and a quarter-inch arms.
Yep.
Crazy long. Like, that's longer than a lot of the offensive tackles in this draft.
Yes.
And those are his measurables from the Senior Bowl. We'll see the NFL draft measurables. But he's big, he's strong, he's fast, and he was built in a lab for edge rushers. The one thing, 3 years at Texas A&M, 4.5 sacks. Mm-hmm. That's where I get lost a little bit. And this is a guy where I'm watching. Not that I love, I'm watching. And I want to see what comes out from the combine. What's that drop off with the production that he's had as a pass rusher? His bull rush is devastating. His arm length helps him win on hoops, which is, you see the drill of defensive linemen where they start and they run literally a hula hoop. That's because what you want to do around the offensive tackle, and that's how you ruin the pocket. That creates pressures. A pressure is any time a quarterback moves off their spot, has to relocate, pump fake, whatever. It ruins the timing. That's a pressure. Pressures are more valuable than sacks.
Yes.
So, as I say, he doesn't produce in sacks, but the production overall isn't there. And when you get with a guy that's 6'8", 280, built in a lab, strong, fast, long, you overly rely on your athleticism, though.
Yeah.
You need to be fundamental. You need to be technical in the NFL to be a long-term guy. Mason Graham for you, that's a top 5 pick. I think he's top 6 at worst.
I think so, too.
Shemar Stewart can go anywhere from top 5 to top 15, depending on what happens in the combine.
Who's a comp? Is it like a Calais Campbell who's got that same kind of build?
Ooh.
Who's a comp for this kid?
I mean, Campbell's 6'9". Yeah, I see it.
I mean, physically.
Shamar Stewart, 6'5", 280. The comp, and this is where the comp that I was able to find, John Franklin Myers.
Okay. All right.
But you don't want a John Franklin Myers top 15.
Right.
John Franklin Myers is a guy you take 5th, 6th, 7th round.
That's a good point.
You don't want a role player. You're taking top 15.
Yeah.
He needs to be a devastator.
Yeah.
To opposing offenses.
Which is why the combine's so big.
My love, I'm going to start with like a late 2nd, early 3rd round pick right now, but Jayden Higgins, who I've told you about.
Oh, you've been on him.
6'3", 215.
Yeah.
A guy the Patriots can identify right away and snag. And this is who I would rather use because of his ceiling as a 2nd or 3rd round pick. He projects right now as a big slot, but athletic, really good route runner, good with contested catches, good over the middle, smart attacking a zone, good run blocker. And also watch the film of him from Iowa State. He didn't have the most accurate quarterback. There were balls that should have been interceptions that ended up as touchdowns because of Jayden Higgins and his arm and his hands. Now people go, but you're going to take a slot in the 2nd round? Well, think of Josh McDaniels calling this offense, T.
Yeah.
And think about who a slot that he loved when he was with the Patriots and Raiders. Jacoby Myers. Mm-hmm. Big slot.
Who should still
Jacoby's
be
6 foot, 200.
Yep.
This guy's 3 inches taller, 15 pounds heavier, more athletic, good catch radius. And with all this, I say too, Jayden Higgins in the 2nd or 3rd round.
Yep.
He's Ted McMillan, who's in the 1st. Maybe his floor is a little lower. Maybe his ceiling's a little lower. But you're going to pay a 1st round premium for a wide receiver. If Ted was in this draft, he'd be in the 2nd round, maybe right before Jayden Higgins. Mm-hmm. Give me a Jayden Higgins. That's a guy that you get in the 2nd or 3rd. And that's a guy that if you address the wide receiver room, like how we laid it out, Westbrook Akine, Darius Slayton, he starts out as your 3. Maybe he's your number 1 slot. I think he's so good. And he's an immediate impact receiver. I think that works a lot. And this is a guy you get where give $50 million guaranteed to Trey Smith, $50 million guaranteed to a Ronnie Stanley. Go with an edge rusher, defensive lineman in the 1st round, 2nd round or 3rd. You can go with a Jayden Higgins right away. Kyle Kennard, edge rusher.
Yeah.
3rd round pick out of South Carolina, Bronco Nagurski winner, which goes to the best defensive lineman in the country. 6'5", 255, 33 and 3/8 inch long arms. That's long. Length is his strength. He's good with his punching time, getting hands off of him from opposing offensive linemen. 4-year starter in college. That's a lot of experience.
Sure.
Explosive, first step and through the hoop, and disrupts pockets. And is ideal with his frame, 6'5", 255. He could be more of a 2-point stance and hand in the dirt.
Right.
He's not an over-the-tackle guy. He's outside of the offensive tackle type of guy.
Right.
Terrell Williams loves those guys. Pro comp for you is Zadarius Smith.
Okay.
Who Mike Vrabel coached in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And then the Lions traded for.
That's right.
And Terrell Williams, as a defensive line coach, now the DC of the Patriots, used him as a guy to help out with Aiden Hutchinson going down.
Yeah.
And you get that in the 3rd round.
Wow.
Mason Graham in the 1st.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, that's your other B-gap defensive lineman. He's going to go 4th down. Keon White can still be outside.
Right.
And then this guy, Kyle Kennard, in the 3rd or 4th.
I see the vision.
Yep.
I see the.
My last one. I'm going Willie Lampkin.
Okay.
Sounds like I made up the name. 5'10", 270, small. 6th round pick out of UNC. He'd play center. 49 starts in college. Moves well laterally, which is more for a zone type run game.
Okay.
But great IQ, good eyes, identifies blitzes well and stunts, which this offensive line stunk with last year.
Yeah.
A guy I love because, again, that's a depth piece in the draft. He can play center and guard.
Sure.
270 small. But the clip I can't get out of my head is Deion Walker, who's 6'6", 350. Willie Lampkin stopped him in his tracks. But is that more on Deion Walker, who had a huge letdown this past season? Or is this more on Lampkin? I don't know. 6th round pick. I'll love a guy in the 6th round that can be a project. So that's the way I look at it.